So this is the first point that I would like to make in this video. Don't underestimate your influence at work. So why is it that when we are at work, some of us have the ability to inspire others? Some of us have the ability to motivate others, get the best out of others, And sadly, there are some people who actually demotivate others, bring others down, cause others to feel bad about themselves. So what's the difference between the two? Why is it that some people have this almost hypnotic, magnetic ability to influence others? And here's where it gets really interesting. A lot of times it has nothing to do with your position, your seniority, your title, or your salary. In other words, if you're a top sales performer, yes, your colleagues, your co-workers will look up to you. They'll say, wow, that person is just so good. They're so talented. But then again, that same thing can be said for a junior employee who is also very skilled, very talented, very high potential. People will look up to them as well. So what is it exactly that makes the difference? There's an old saying that goes, a prophet is never honored in his own hometown. This is why I always tell my coaching clients, don't underestimate your influence at work, because even if you work in a small organization, you will still have influence over others, and your influence is far more powerful than you think. The reason why many of us underestimate our influence is because we often fail to recognize the power of subtle cues. We don't realize how often we are being observed. We don't realize how much people are paying attention to us. And we don't realize how easily our actions, behaviors, and body language can influence those around us. Now, this might sound like a hard concept to grasp, so let me illustrate this with a real-life example. Imagine this scenario. You are working late into the night, say 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and all of a sudden, your boss walks by and says hello to you. What kind of impact do you think this has on you? It has a huge impact. You suddenly become alert. You start thinking, okay, my boss knows that I am here working late. He or she is probably observing me. They probably know how hard I'm working. There's a chance that they will give me an award for outstanding performance. Or maybe they're going to give me a promotion. Or maybe they're going to ask me to take on more responsibilities. So what happens is that your boss literally changes the way you think with just one simple action. Now, of course, it is possible that your boss was simply trying to be friendly and didn't have any other ulterior motives. But either way, the point here is that your behavior changed because of something very subtle that your boss did. So now, imagine that the scenario is reversed. You're the boss, and you walk past one of your team members who's working late. How do you think that makes them feel? How do you think it influences them? It probably makes them feel seen, appreciated, motivated, and inspired. Another example that I'd like to give here is related to office gossip. So let's assume that you go to a company happy hour. Let's assume that you're having fun, socializing with your colleagues. All of a sudden, someone comes up to you and starts feeding you some gossip. They're telling you things about your coworkers, maybe some bad things, maybe some rumors, things that are not factual. But here's the thing. Even if the information that this person is sharing with you is negative, chances are it's going to change the way you perceive your colleagues. It's going to change the way you perceive your work environment. And unfortunately, it could end up influencing your performance and your engagement. So in other words, just by sharing some subtle cues, this person was able to influence you without you even realizing it. If you underestimate your influence at work, you could be doing more harm than you think. Your tone of voice, your body language, your attitude, your energy, the way you dress, the way you speak, the way you listen, all of these subtle cues are constantly shaping the behavior of those around you. And whether you realize it or not, you are a role model at your workplace. You are a role model for your team. You are a role model for your organization. Now, of course, we all have role models in our lives, people that we look up to. But the truth is that you too are someone else's role model. You too are someone else's inspiration. Whether you realize it or not, your behavior is constantly serving as a model for others to follow. You see, human beings by nature are social creatures. We try to emulate the behavior of others, and we are constantly observing the people around us, even if we don't realize it. So if you want to make a positive impact at your workplace, you must be conscious of your influence. You must understand the power of your actions and the power of your example. Now, of course, it takes a lot of self-awareness, a lot of emotional intelligence. But the more you develop these skills, the more you will become an inspiration to others. And the more you will help your coworkers, your peers, your subordinates, and your bosses grow both personally and professionally. Here's another great quote that I found. It goes, "People rarely succeed unless they have the support of others." This is why it's important that you build relationships with people. Build relationships with people inside and outside of your organization. Become a connector. Become a catalyst for success. Be the person that helps move things forward. I'm going to give you another example of how you can use your influence for good. When you praise others, when you recognize the accomplishments of others, you inspire them to do more. You help them build their confidence. You help them grow. But when you criticize others, when you complain about others, when you gossip about others, you hold them back and you create a toxic environment. So remember, be conscious of your influence. Use it wisely. Be a source of positivity and inspiration at your workplace. The next point that I would like to make in this video is that at work, it's important to build your personal brand. And it's not about what you think of yourself. It's not about your title. It's not about your position. It's about what others think of you. It's about what others say about you behind your back. Your reputation is your personal brand. So how do you want to be known? Do you want to be known as someone who's always complaining? Do you want to be known as the person who's always negative? Do you want to be known as someone who's lazy and incompetent? Or do you want to be known as someone who's a go-getter, someone who's positive, someone who's reliable, someone who gets things done. Think about your personal brand. Think about what you want your reputation to be. And remember, your personal brand is a reflection of your values, your character, and your integrity. So make sure that you are always acting in a way that is consistent with your desired personal brand. Another important thing to remember is that at work, it's very important to be respectful towards others. Be respectful, even towards people whose opinions and beliefs differ from yours. Be respectful, even towards people who might not be as educated as you are, people who might not have the same background as you are. Be respectful because you don't know what their story is. You don't know what challenges they have faced in their lives. You not know what kind of obstacles they have had to overcome to be where they are today. So treat everyone with dignity and respect. And finally, here's the last point that I would like to make in this video. At work, it's very important to learn how to manage conflict. Conflict is inevitable. It's going to happen no matter what. What matters is how you deal with it. So learn how to communicate effectively, how to control your emotions, how to empathize with others, how to find common ground. Because remember, conflict doesn't have to be destructive. It can be an opportunity for growth, an opportunity for innovation, an opportunity to improve your relationships. These are some of the key points that I wanted to share with you in this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Take care.